Hi, this is Kevin Souza. This video is about family. When I was 2 years old and my sister Cheryl was 4 years old, my mother and father got a divorce. We never saw a photo of my father, never saw my father, never knew him at all. And when I was 6 and Cheryl was 8, my mother sat us down and told us that the man she married, who was our stepfather, was changing our last name from St. Ange to Sousa because when we were young, our father had died and she had divorced him prior to that. And that was all we knew about him. She didn't want to tell us anything else, okay? I don't know, maybe it's because we were so young, she didn't want to let us know, or she had her reasons, but that was it. Well, something interesting happened years later, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this video, but when I got older, I was more interested and more interested about him. And I asked my sister Cheryl if she would come with me to find his grave, and she said, "No, thanks, I have no interest." So I never knew the man, so I did it on my own. And it was called Sacred Heart Cemetery, Mount Pleasant Street, New Bedford, Massachusetts. And I went there and they opened up their archive doors, found his name and found the lot number he was on, way in the back of the cemetery, toward right next to the airport for the city, the municipal airport. So she said, when you walk all the way down there, you're not going to find his gravestone because he doesn't have one, because warfare buried him. And there was no gravestone, no headstone. So you need to ask the gravediggers in that general area where exactly that lot would be. And so I did, and they showed me. And when I got to his grave, I looked down and I started to cry. And I said, "Dad, I didn't know you, and maybe you knew me as a baby, but whatever you did wrong in life, I forgive you. And I love you." And I looked up in the sky and I said, "God, please forgive my father for anything he did wrong. And I love him." And that was my prayer to God. And so I said another silent prayer, looked at the place he was buried, and left the cemetery. And I felt better about myself having gone there and went from there. So years and years went by, and we still didn't know how he died. We knew he was a mover. The last job he had was hauling ice over his shoulders. He was a strong man, according to my mother. Very strong, good-looking stud that she married. Don't know all the reasons why they got a divorce. Doesn't matter anymore. It's irrelevant. But I found out the truth later. In 2012, I wrote a blog post about how I miss my parents because they're both deceased, my mother and stepfather. And I included in that blog post the full name of my biological father, Joseph Edward Emile St. Ange, Jr. He had two middle names. And a few months later in Facebook, a young man messaged me and said, "Kevin, you don't know me, but I'm 99.9% sure that my father and you are brothers." And sure enough, I said, "Well, where was my father buried?" And he told me. After 50 years, a brother that I never knew existed found me through his son that I never knew I had. And so we flew from Kentucky to Massachusetts to be with him. My sister Cheryl and I were just filled with joy that we had a brother in our lives that we had no idea that we had. He was 12 and I was 3, Cheryl was 5 when my brother was at the funeral, and he heard two ladies say that he has a daughter and a son from another marriage, and he vowed to search for us, even if it took him all his life. And of course, when we got adopted at age 6 and 8, we became needles in a haystack, right? He couldn't have found us. But I really believe this in all my heart, that because I went to my father's grave and forgave him and asked God to forgive him and told my father that I love him and said a prayer, that God, in his own time, years later, introduced us to our brother. I believe that with all my heart. I really do. We have 3 other siblings, my sister Mary, my brother Clement, my brother Timothy. So there were 5 of us growing up. Well, when my father broke into a liquor store one day, it was late at night. He drank a bottle of wine, went home, climbed up to his apartment, cooked some eggs over the stove, passed out over the stove and burned to death. And that's how he died. We didn't know that. But we found that out later when our brother told us what happened. And so, do you have a family that you live near, or are you far away from them? Doesn't matter. Love your family. Do you have someone that did something to you and your family or to others? Forgive them, no matter what it was. Release it, because it does something amazing to your heart when you release. One of our business associates, the founder of the company that we work with, did a public forgiveness with somebody on video. And I think that was the bravest, most courageous thing to do. And I admired that very much. Forgiveness does cleanse your soul. It really does. Love your family. And so I'm going to give you a call to action in this video, just like I do in all my other videos. If you have a family or if you have a dream is a living thing. A living thing. A dream is alive in your hands. It has just as much value as a human being. If you have something in life that you want to do or have or be that your job can't give you, but you would love to be able to do it, join Kim and I. Click the button and we'll be your coach. We will mentor you. We will teach you what we've done, which is we've built our freedom. And you can do it. You really can. Do it for your family, if not for yourself. That's a great mission. So with that said, that's what happened, and just thought the world would like to know that. So this is Kevin Souza, and I sincerely hope that you and your family make it a wonderful day. Click the link and join us, and we'll help you. Have a great day.